Welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures, and welcome back to what is not the shop. It's actually a room in the house. The video does take place in the shop, but I didn't get an intro or anything recorded for it, so we're doing it here. Anyway, we're rebuilding the carburetor from the Polaris Sportsman 700, but it's the same as most other Polaris Sportsmen, so if you're curious on how we do that, sit back, grab your beverage, and enjoy. All right, so I'm at my favorite carburetor rebuilding place, and of course I've got the carburetor, and I've got a selection of some of my favorite screwdrivers. We've got a couple of different number 2 Phillips, and then a selection of little tiny flatheads, and depending on how the jets and things are in these, we'll figure out which one of these favorite little screwdrivers we need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my jug of carburetor cleaner. Probably should have cleaned off all the dust and dirt from around the lid, but that's okay. And I'm going to grab the little basket doohickey. I'm going to put it on this dishcloth here from the kitchen. Okay. I like to start with the top for no particular reason other than that's where I like to start. Usually this is my screwdriver of choice here. You want to make sure you've got a tip that fits these nicely, because they want to fight. Just like that, it wants to fight. So what we're going to do is get a hammer. We're basically going to try to set this in here and shock it loose. And for this, pretty much any hammer will do. Just get that in there nice and strong. Do your best to get a little twisting motion on it, and nope. Try some of the others and see if any of the other ones want to give. Nope, let's try a different screwdriver, see if we can get a better bite. Oh, there we go. If you really booger one of these screws up, getting it out, but you're able to get it out, you can get these pretty easily. They're pretty readily available. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing in really hard just to make sure the screwdriver tip gets a good seat into the head of that screw. And you can actually hear it when it breaks loose. And that's not from them being over tightened. This is just over time they get set in there, but it makes it difficult to get them back out. There we go. So if you're doing this and you're having difficulty with one of your screwdrivers, get a different screwdriver and see if it's any better. All right, and this brings out the slide, the needle and seat, and that's crusty to that guy right there. Yep, put all that in there. The needle will fall out. You've got some spacers. Let's take if we can get the plastic parts off, let's get them off. No, we can't, so we're just going to set that in there anyway. We're going to set this to the side, this little spacer. And that is pretty much everything that's in there. Now, we're not going to put this in the chemical dip because this rubber diaphragm here, it's quite fragile. Okay. What else next do we want to take off? Let's get the float bowl out. This thing's pretty dirty. And somebody's been in the float bowl before, I can tell, because of the condition of these screw heads, and they are not good. So this might be a challenge. Yeah. That head is messed up. This one's messed up, but we got it out. See, you can see that. Yeah. So somebody has definitely been in the float bowl on this. Okay. Let's see if we can get this one that's messed up out of here. That one, it's not one to agree with this. Might have to take a cutoff wheel and make a notch and get it out that way. Let's see if we can convince this thing to come off a different way. Anyone fancy cutting on a carburetor? Not me. But that worked. There we go. So clearly, we're going to need to order some new screws for the float bowl. Okay. Getting apart the float bowl. In the bottom, you don't have much. You do have the float bowl gasket, which is junk in this case. We're not even going to try to save it because we've got a new kit. Normally I would use a pick, but I don't care if I booger this up because, like I said, I've got a new one. There we go. And let's see if we can get the drain off of it. There we go. And float bowl. Okay. Now to get the floats, we just have this little pin here. And normally that pin comes out pretty easy. And then the floats pull up along with the needle. Obviously the floats we're not going to put in the dip. And the needle we're not going to put in the dip. And the needle looks okay, but we'll have a replacement for that. And then here, of course, you've got the hold down for the float place. You've got your main jet, your pilot jet down inside there. We're going to try to get these out. Okay, there's our main jet and its washer. And this is where our special screwdrivers come into play, is for our, the little jet down inside. You need to make sure you're able to get it on there so you can get it out. And there it is. And this is what's typically going to keep it from idling, is this little pilot. And here's going to be our adjuster. We're going to need to get that out. Let's get these two screws out here. That should free up the seat. Here, but it's fighting me to come out. There we go. And this also seems to have an O-ring on it. Instead of soaking this in there, I think we're just going to clean it in case we don't get a new O-ring with our kit. Now at the top, we do have a couple of more things that we're going to want to take off of here. We've got security style bits here for this assembly to come out of the middle. Let's see if these are 25s. No. About 20s. Yeah. Well, these are difficult to unthread. There we go. Just had to convince it to come out. And again, this is plastic. It's not going in the chemical dip. And now I'm just looking for anything else in here that is a rubbery, plasticky material. I'm not going to bother removing the butterflies or the idle set screw, the idle speed screw. That's fine. Oh, I need to get this out. Okay, this is where the idle fuel air mix screw is, adjuster. So you have to drill that and then pull it out, and then you can get the plug out. Polaris did that so that people wouldn't mess with it, but we're going to mess with it. Okay, so like I was saying, to get that plug out pretty easy, you need a drill bit. This is a 5/32, and you just set it on the hole, and you want to drill very slowly until it goes through, but no further. Now in the older model quads, you may not see this plug. However, I can tell you on the 2002 Sportsman 500, Ruby, it did have this plug and we had to do the same thing. And we're just starting to open the hole up. There we go. Now we take our screw. That's a number 3 head. Goodness. So we take our screw and we want to put it into that plug, and then somehow we pull the plug out. And there we are. Plug came out with the screw. And now we have access to that adjustment screw. Now before we take the screw out, we're going to adjust it all the way in to make sure we know how many turns it is before we start. So it's in about, say, a 1 o'clock if I look at it from this angle. So stuck is the word. That's a half turn. That's a single turn. That's 1.5 turns. So it was about 1 3/4 turns out from bottoming out. So now we're just going to take it out. It was a little stuck. Now there is a spring in there as well. And that's so once you set it, it doesn't, you know, move. So remember that it was 1 3/4 turns, which is a little unusual. Usually you'll see it at 1 1/2 or 2. Okay, and there's the screw. Looks like that. And there's the little spring. Now, this carburetor should be in a condition where we can put it in the dip along with all of the rest of our parts. And we're just going to put them in here to get some soaking happening. Okay. So now that we've pretty much got the carburetor disassembled and put in the dip, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the rest of these bits. We're just going to use a combination of whatever this is, carburetor and choke, throttle body cleaner, and, you know, shop grade Windex brake cleaner, and get these cleaned up and ready for when the other bits are ready. You know, there's nothing fancy really to it. Just want to get everything nice and pretty clean. And for these bits with the rubber, I like to use this carburetor cleaner because in my mind it's better for it. Now I did look up to see about replacing this, but the Polaris OEM replacement unit is $150, maybe down as low as $120, but it's expensive. And well, this diaphragm is in really good shape, and I think that's a bit too much money. Now they do have some, you know, Chinese brand flavor of these things on Amazon for like 15-20 bucks, but I'd rather not. Let's go ahead and clean this. So we do it with that cleaner, and then we'll just go back with the brake parts cleaner because it's just got a little more sauce on it, you know. The floats, yep. And that's fine. We have the float needle, we can clean that up. The seat for the needle, this is about empty, that's great. Put that over there. Plug, and this plastic bit. I actually am pretty certain the plug, the plastic bit, the float seat, and the float needle that we get new ones in the rebuild kit. So when it comes to rebuild kits for these, you know, ATV quad four-wheeler things, I've been enjoying going to the Freedom Country ATV parts and accessories people. They're available on Amazon. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I just really believe in this product. It's a really good price, and you get literally everything you need. Let me show you. First, you can see it's actually for our application. Rebuild kit for Polaris Sportsman 700. Open it up. And it actually says a quality product from Japan. Okay, pretty neat. The most important thing you get is you do get a couple of these nice stickers, but you literally get everything you need to rebuild your carburetor. Well, these bits have been soaking for a good hot minute or 10 or 15. We don't want to overdo it, so we're going to go ahead and get them out of the bucket of the, you know, the sauce there. Well, give it to me. There we go. First, let's get this carburetor body. It's got a lot of stuff in it, so let's get it over here and get it dumped out. Okay. Well, I can tell you that already looks a ton better. Let me get you set back up on the tripod. We'll get into this. I think let's just set this here. Let's get all of our bits taken out. Oh, there's a hair. It's silver. That must be mine. Okay. Down you go. Normally, I would go ahead and put gloves on before I got to cleaning on this stuff, but I'm not going to bother about it. What I am going to bother to do is put a towel down so I don't mess up this nice clean surface desk here. For that, I'm just going to steal an old bath towel, or I guess dish towel, out of the house here. Gentlemen, when you're doing this, don't be afraid to steal towels out of the house. Don't tell your wife about it. Throw it back in the laundry. She'll never know the difference. Okay. Well, I don't think no matter what we do, that's going to look any better, but that's okay. Stains are fine. Dirt's not. Float bowl. Same thing. I don't think we're going to get these stains off of it. Again, this is the effect of storing your stuff outside. Please don't do that. Okay. A lot of these parts here are going to be replaced, but we're going to clean them up anyway. Now here's kind of what happens to your jets. They get etched like this brass, they get etched. And then they cling on to all the junk that's in your dirty gas you're using. Especially your little pilot jet. Now I like to take these and blow them out with the air compressor as well, which is a little tricky, but you can see we're squirting through it. So she's cleaned out. But again, like I said, I think we have a new one in the rebuild kit anyway. Cleaning all of our parts. We've already cleaned that part and that part. We don't need these parts, but they're clean already too. Same with this part and that part. And of course that part. Clean our screws. This is our custom screw. I went ahead and ordered all new screws for this. Should be here, I don't know, in a bit. But I don't want to try to put these old float bowl screws in and fight with them. I've also ordered a couple of these top screws for the top cap, because we have a couple of those that were a little unfriendly to get out. And well, I'd rather not fight with them in the future. Okay. Now let's grab our carburetor and clean them up. Now I like to squirt down in all these circuits that are in here. There's a bug on my hand. There we go. Got him. Okay. Oh, right in the face. Ah! Right in the face some more. Now, one part that did not come out, and we're going to have to be mindful of it. Brake cleaner doesn't taste good. Anyway, the adjuster screw. There's a washer and an O-ring, and I think they're still in there, so we're going to have to make sure we dig that out. I'm not exactly sure how. Okay, well, the little washer came out. Now we're just seeing if that O-ring can come out. Might have to pick it out with a pick. So I've got a couple of different varietals of pick here. There we go. There it is. Probably can't see it, but there's a little O-ring. And now, just in case I've left chunks in there, I'm going to go ahead and blow it out. Perfect. Well, with all of the parts cleaned up and scattered all over the table here, I guess there's nothing, more to do than guess we'll just put it all back together. Okay, let's get our Freedom Country kit over here. Let's get it opened up. Let's save on the stickers because I love a good sticker or two. Okay, well, let's open the baggie, see what we've got, see what new parts we can put in and which old parts we have to reuse. Obviously, we have a new float bowl gasket. We have a new needle that's compared to the old needle, and it is an exact 100% match. I like that. We have a brand new idle speed screw. Be honest, I kind of like the one that's in it. And this is, of course, the bit that goes to it. Here is a brand new idle mixture screw. I think we'll take the original and we'll put this little rubber bit back on there. Stick it in the bag. I don't think we're going to use this. We're going to stick it in the bag. Look, we could go ahead and use that, but I think it's fine. Here's a new drain. I think I want to go ahead and use it. So let's put the old one in the bag. Oddly, it came with two of these spacers here, which was this. We've got a new one of those. We've got a new E-clip. Here's a new main jet, 157.5. What's the one that came out of it? I don't know. Here's the new, that and the O-ring and the spring. And we need to cut this open. Pick will do. Well, get out of the bag. For crying out loud. Give it to me. There we go. Got it. So this is quite easy. It just goes on. Well, it doesn't fit. See, it's a good thing we saved on the old one. Don't know really where that goes. We'll just put the old one on there now. We don't want to forget that. But I need to see what size main jet we have. Pilot jet, I'm not too worried about the size. The new replacement needle seat has a little filter screen. I like that. Okay, I don't know what that is. Don't think we're going to need it. So you can go in this bag. Anyway, lost my train of thought. Yeah, let me get something so I can see the size of that. For that, we'll just grab a handy magnifier glass. 155. So the original is a 155. And our replacement's a 157.5, and I believe in the owner's manual it says it's a 158.5. I don't know. That being said, we do live in a higher elevation. So we're going to want to lean it just a little bit because there's just not as much oxygen up here. So we're going to go with the jet that came with it, this 155. We'll just see how it goes from there. Okay, so we're going to take that jet, toss it in there. Probably the little O-ring that came with it too. This is a something or other, but I believe that's the one in the top here. that we couldn't get out without breaking it. Let me see if I can get it out now. Just finding the right screwdriver, you know. Let's try this one. Oh, you went for a little bump and ride, did you? Okay. Let's try this one. What I don't want to do is mess up the jet. Oh, we got it though. Yeah, it's the same size. Let's go ahead and clean the hole it came from. And then we'll put the new one in its place. Lovely. Okay, and where was that? There it is. Now, the thing with the needles is that you need to count what groove your little E-clip is sitting on, and it's on the third groove from the top. So we're going to grab our new one and put it in the exact same place. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, drop the E-clip. That's good. Two. Drop it again. There we go. And then we take our plastic bushing and just slide it up like that. And then one of these sits on top of it. That's fine. We can take our original needle, throw it in the baggie. Back into the bottom of this thing, let's take our cleaned up bit here. It's cleaned up, but it ain't pretty. Doesn't smell very good either. Anyway, slide this back down into its place. There we go. Looks like it only goes one way. Could be wrong, but I'm not going to fight with it. These are the ones that took the special security style screws. Okay. That's happy. We can take our new pilot jet. Excuse me, it goes into the pilot jet hole there. And we take our favorite pilot jet screwdriver. There we go, good and tight. Let's take our old pilot jet, throw it in the bag. Now, like I said, we're using the old main jet, so we're going to go ahead and put that on in its place right here. I don't like putting the old main jet in, but I think it'll run better than with the new one. I know you're going to say, don't tighten it too much. Look, I've had that jet fall off on the trail. The quad doesn't run very good without it. Just saying. Okay. Next would be our... Well, let's not do that quite yet. Let's take care of this air mix screw. So you do the spring, you do the washer, and then you do the O-ring. That kind of holds it all together in a nice, neat little package for you. We'll go ahead and set it in here. Get a screwdriver on it. So I can figure out which screwdriver I want to use. Let's go with this one. And we're going to run it all the way down. And then when it bottoms out, we know we're at the bottom. Duh. And the screwdriver may be a little too thick. I need to get a different one. And this is why you have a good varietal of screwdrivers hanging around. There we go. It's bottomed out. And it's pretty much facing up and down. So now we're going to come out 1 turn and 3/4, if you remember. So that's half, 1, half. That should be about 1 3/4 out. Lovely. What's next? Yes, this thing. Well, we just push it down into its home there. And I believe it had some weird kind of hold down thing. Yeah, this thing. Not quite sure I remember how it went in there. Oh, there it goes. Like that. And that would be these 2 tiny little screws. And even though they look tiny, they still work best with a number 2. Okay. Yep. Very nice. That's extra. Okay. Now we want to take our float. This is a little tricky because you want to hang your little float needle on the tab there and guide the float needle down into its thing, and then take the pin and push it through. And that should be it. We don't want to smash it too much to get it in there. I'm just going to take a little bit right here. Okay. Perfect. Now, quite simply, the way this works is fuel, well, this carburetor sits like this. Fuel comes into here, drops into that place where the needle and seat go, and then when the float bowl fills up, it pushes this up and it stops the flow of gas. Anyway. Take our float bowl and let's put our new float bowl drain on here. Man, I wish this would have cleaned up better. It's okay. Snug that down. Stick our new gasket on here. Looks good. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put all the screws in. I'm going to choose 2 of them that didn't look too bad and just put those on just to hold it together. And then when we get our new screws, we'll take it apart and fix it. So I'm not going to tighten them down. I'm just going to make it so it doesn't fall off. Just opposite corners, you know. Okay. And now for the top, we need this guy along with this. And somehow we have to feed it well, is it magnetic and can a screwdriver hold it? Yes, but no. We'll see if we can just hang on to it with a pair of pliers real quick like that. There we go. We're just going to try to drop this in and hope it lands right. Give it a shake. Let's get the light in there. Yes, that's perfect. And I don't think it matters which direction this goes at all, as long as it goes all the way in That, of course, seats there. And actually it does matter because there's a little, a little judgment blip right there. Take our spring, a cap. It also has the same judgment mark on it, and it fits only one way. And then we put our screws. You don't need to over tighten these. Remember, they're soft. Just get them snug. That's all it needs. Perfect. And there we go. A rebuilt carburetor ready to go back on, except it's not because we need these 2 screws. We want to test the diaphragm to make sure it moves freely and returns back to its position, and it does. You can get a C. Lovely. We're going to take these bits, throw them in the baggie, throw that in the baggie, close the baggie, and then put the baggie in the container. So like I said, the carburetor is pretty much ready to go back in. We're just going to wait on a couple of screws, and when those come in, we'll go ahead and put those on, replace them, we'll get the carburetor in. Coming up right now. Well, it's now a couple of days later, and we have our new screws we need to go ahead and replace the screws in the bottom of the footbowl of the carburetor that we just rebuilt. So we're just going to do that right now. Thankfully, a lot of these parts are still readily available for the Polaris. This is. It was nice of Polaris to give us a nice perforated edge on the baggies. That's neat. In case you need to know the part number, I don't know, 3130520 float bowl screws. Okay, so first I'm just going to go ahead and put the new ones into the holes that are missing the screws. Man, I wish this carburetor would have cleaned up nicer than this on the outside. It's okay. And let's remove the ugly ones. Check them all. Okay, now we can call the carburetor rebuild more or less complete. Look, if you all made it all the way to the end of this video, you're awesome and I appreciate you. Listen, if you're not subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Push the red thing, you'll be subscribed. Still free, still easy, and it means a whole lot to me. I guess in the meantime, y'all ride safe and we'll see you later. Bye-bye now.